You're about to watch a political interview that quickly turned into a tense battle of ideas. It began with some tough questioning, but as the conversation unfolded, the focus shifted to whether clear, direct answers could withstand sustained scrutiny. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Camilla Tomeni challenged former RMT leader Mick Lynch on a range of issues, but Lynch responded with confidence and without backing away from the discussion. Whether you agree with his views or not, this exchange became less about political labels and more about how each side defended its arguments under pressure. Watch this.
I don't know what Indigenous Brit is.
Well, it's somebody who's born in Britain.
Am I an Indigenous Brit?
Were you born in Britain or Ireland?
I was born in Britain.
Okay, so you're an
But
Indigenous
I'm Indigenous.
Brit. Yeah, that's, I mean, a British-born person, Mick, versus a foreign-born person. I'm trying to say...
So it's foreigners you're talking about then?
I'm talking about
so you're making
those
a distinction
who make a
based on...
Sounding like a little bit... Nigel Farage, who keeps on banging on about alarm clock Britain. He's talking about people in work versus people in welfare. You'll be familiar with the slight change in tone and rhetoric among, funny enough, the working classes about those in welfare. You might have noticed a few videos popping up by bricklayers, electricians like yourself, and plumbers saying, well, I get up at 5 a.m. because I've got a benefits bill to pay.
Yeah, and they've been cajoled into doing that by organisations such as yours. They are.
No.
Because
come on, Mick. This is
people
organic.
are on benefits.
These are. Can I just clarify something? Absolutely not. I'm talking about bricklayers
they're all
and other
spontaneous,
people.
aren't they?
Well, yeah, most people who are online and filming funny videos certainly aren't doing it with the say-so of the Telegraph. What I'm saying is you can have some sympathy with the position of the hard-working man or woman.
I do. I was one for a very long time.
Who think their taxes may be increasingly being spent on welfare claimants.
So what we've got to do is not divide people on the basis of whether they've got a job at the moment or not, whatever their identity is or where they come from. We've got to make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to get a job, and it's a meaningful, well-paid job with a bit of job security so they can move off benefits.
Yeah.
Now,
but if you're better off on benefits...
The person who had the biggest transition to benefits system in this country was, of course, Margaret Thatcher. Put the benefits bill up massively because she wanted to move people off the unemployment basis onto other welfare benefits. So politicians played tricks with that. But one of the main problems in this country, I believe, is low-paid work, where businesses, and this is not a criticism of people, entrepreneurs and so on, that are running low-margin businesses, but we do have an economy where very many businesses are on tiny margins and exist solely because they're paying such low wages. And it's because those wages are so low, it's difficult to make the transition from welfare benefits to the benefits of being in work. And often it's very punishing. You get these graphs that are produced every now and again. If you do more than 16 hours or whatever the number is these days, but it has been typically 16 hours, they punish you for taking on part-time work or taking on casual work or temporary work. Now, we've got to have a system that deals with that, and you've got to have some technical people that can come up with some systems that can say, I'm going to encourage you to get a job. I'm not going to punish you if that doesn't work. Now, those bricklayers and plumbers and carpenters that I used to work with would be very displeased if their sister or their children or their in-laws or their friends were taken off benefits harshly and punished just because they got an issue. So we've got to find a system that rewards work. Now, that's a very old-fashioned social democratic position that most working class people believe in.
I appreciate that. But the other big elephant in the room here that you're not addressing is mass migration since 1997. Now, the so-called Indigenous British worker...
Why do I have to address it?
Well, I think you do, because I think the Indigenous British worker might argue...
So this is a capitalist mechanism.
It was a problem.
Mass migration...
It was a problem that people came in and undercut their wages.
Mass migration...
And, by the way, leapfrogged them on housing lists.
Mass migration is a mechanism of the capitalist economy in the UK.
Do you agree with mass migration?
It's a natural facet of what's been going on.
But did it go too far?
Well, you'd have to ask George Osborne
what do you think?
And David Cameron, who introduced this policy.
Blair started it, didn't he?
Well, Blair had a policy about migration that was a successor to the single market economy.
Well, net migration into the UK before Blair took power, 25,000.
Who brought us into the single market?
In the 25 years afterwards, 7 million, Mick. So you telling me your members don't feel that immigration has failed in some aspects?
Who brought us into the single market? and the four freedoms,
I just-
including the free movement of labour, the Conservative Party, and the Maastricht Treaty, and all of that
Right.
single
But
market
we've agreed Blair and Brown double down on
was a Thatcherite policy.
Okay,
and
but-
it was delivered. Now, hang on.
Yeah, go on.
I don't believe in blaming people who've migrated to this country, including my parents, to seek a better life.
From Ireland, to clarify.
During the war, yeah. During the war.
Sure.
And have given a family of 5 an opportunity,
Sure.
right? I don't believe in blaming people because they're serving the economy that capitalism has dictated in this country.
Yes.
It's the capitalist economy that has demanded this labour, much of which is the low-wage economy.
Exactly.
The
So it could
capitalist
have
economy
driven
also
wages down.
emptied.
Mass migration could have driven wages down.
The capitalist economy has also emptied the factories and mills of this country.
Has mass migration driven wages down in
Well,
this
we'll have
country?
to see. I don't know. Have you got the facts and figures?
Well, I think it's been suggested that it has.
Well, who's
because if you
suggesting
bring
it?
in, well, you could ask, for
Who is
instance,
suggesting it?
You could ask,
But
for
when we-
instance,
when
a
we try to
British
regulate
builder
that-
back in the noughties, whether they were being undercut by Romanians and Polish
When we try
people.
to regulate
and they
that,
would say, Mick,
when
yes,
we try to
were.
regulate that through trade union negotiation and trade union action, you decry it. Because we don't ask people what colour they are or where they've come from.
No.
I remember working on building sites in the 80s in London, where London workers were saying we shouldn't allow these northerners onto our sites.
Sure. But then the other problem
We shouldn't
has
allow
been,
Geordies and Scots people
You've
and
cited
people
your
and
really
Scousers.
you've cited your hard-working parents.
Mm.
Don't you think that there is an argument to suggest that when it comes to immigration policy, one must favoritise quality over quantity? That if people come here and make a contribution,
I'm not going
that's to
down
be
the road that
welcomed.
the Telegraph.
But
the
if
Telegraph
they come
seems to be
this
preparing
country
itself.
and they aren't working and they're taking
The
from the
Telegraph
state
seems
rather
to be
than
preparing
contributing,
itself to
that's
become
a problem for
fully
working
signed up
people.
affiliate of reform.
No.
And
no.
all of the racism and disunity
Not
that's
at
going to
all.
cause.
This isn't
well,
a racist.
what I see coming
Mick,
out of the Telegraph every
Mick,
day
Mick.
is making space
Mick.
for racism.
No, absolutely not.
Well,
because, funny enough,
If a
to
person
pay them
such as
more-
you,
yes,
an educated person,
Sure.
erudite,
Barely.
chooses to make a distinction about people on the basis of their ethnic or national origin, I would say that you're on the path to racism.
no, I'm making a distinction
Which
about
is what
them.
Farage does.
No, you're misunderstanding me. I'm making an assessment of both Indigenous Brits, if we can call them that, and indeed
I don't know what
immigrants.
Indigenous Brit is.
Well, it's somebody who's born in
Am
Britain.
I an Indigenous Brit?
Were you born in Britain or Ireland?
I was born in Britain.
Okay, so you're an
But I'm
Indigenous
indigenous.
Brit. Yeah, that's, I mean, a British-born person, Mick, versus a foreign-born person. I'm trying to say...
So it's foreigners
that
you're talking about then?
I'm talking about
So you're making a
those who
distinction
make a
based on... So foreigners are somehow different to British people?
Mick, I don't know why you're going down this bizarre line of,
Well, it's your
because-
line that's bizarre.
No.
You choose to
You've
make
reached-
distinctions
you've
about
made the
people
mistake.
based on their origins.
No, Mick, I'm sorry. This is actually getting slightly preposterous. You've reached for the, because I don't agree with you, because you're on the right, you're a racist and a bigot. And I'm saying that's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm actually trying to align with the point you made at the very beginning of this Daily Tea, which is that we want to see as many people in work as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that in order to
And we don't want to
foster-
distinguish based on their background or ethnicity.
But I'm not. I'm saying we need to distinguish people as to the contribution that we need to encourage
So
them to
what-
make to the economy.
what will you do if
versus
somebody-
a non-contribution that could
what
be
will you do
a
if
drag
somebody
on the
who's in a
state
job-
that taxpayers,
Hang on.
workers have to pay for?
So if you're-
that's why the tax
if you're
burden's
what you-
gone up, Mick.
if you co-
Let me ask you this: would
Hang
you
on.
rather workers paid more tax or less?
Let's address your
as
point.
we're doing socialism versus capitalism,
We need to pay the right
or
tax for
good
the
versus
services.
evil, or racist versus non-racist.
We need to
weirdly.
we need to pay the right tax to run the
What is
services
the
that we
right
decide we
tax?
want. I don't know. It depends on the
Tax
services.
burden's at an
Now, listen,
all-time high. It's nearly in the
you-
40s. Should it be in the 30%?
If an indigenous person, as you
Sure.
called them,
I
an
said,
indigenous
ind-
British person
Indigenous is
loses
just
their
another
job,
word for describing
loses their
someone
job and has
born
to
in
go
Britain.
on unemployment benefit
Yes,
compared to a foreigner.
yes.
Do you do something about that foreigner that is different to
I
your
think
indigenous
people who
person?
need benefits, who cannot work.
But you
and
made a
need-
distinction about
Do you want me to
indigenous.
answer the question, Mick?
Well, you've been talking over me.
Well, we're having a discussion here.
Hmm.
Let me answer that question. I think if somebody genuinely needs employment benefit because for some reason
Hmm.
they cannot work due to a physical or mental health problem that is so substantial it prevents them from
Or there
doing
are
a
no
day's
jobs.
work, Well, that's a different thing because they're getting employment benefit, but you were talking about sick there, I think. Then, of course,
all benefits.
Well, there are two distinctions out there. There is sick benefit and there is indeed
But
employment benefit.
So if you've got a sick
if
non-Indigenous person, what do you do with them?
If you've got a sick non-Indigenous person, I have no problem at all if they have the right to claim benefits, to claim benefits.
You don't get benefits you haven't got the right to.
But I'm making an economic argument here, Mick. It's nothing to do with the race of the person. I'm asking you.
You were the one that brought this in.
Because you haven't answered the question.
You've brought in
Mick,
this point that somehow people are different.
Can you answer this following question without pointing racist and bigot and suggesting that I am somehow the incarnation of Nigel Farage? It's a really simple question.
What really made Mick Lynch stand out in this exchange wasn't just that he defended his position. It was that he challenged the broader narrative behind the questions being asked. Rather than accepting the framing, he argued that many political debates encourage ordinary people to blame one another instead of examining the larger economic forces affecting wages, living costs, and public services. That's a message that clearly resonates with many of his supporters. They see it as a reminder that political arguments are often shaped by media narratives, and that it's worth asking who benefits when attention shifts away from issues like pay, housing, or the cost of living. Whether you agree with that perspective or not, it's a point that has become an increasingly important part of modern political debate. The interview also highlighted something else. Confidence alone doesn't win an argument. Throughout the exchange, Mick Lynch stayed focused on his core message, while repeatedly challenging the assumptions behind the questions. For many viewers, that made the conversation feel less like an interview and more like a clash between two competing political worldviews. Moments like this are exactly why political interviews continue to go viral online. They don't just reveal disagreements over policy, they expose completely different ways of interpreting the same issues. But what do you think? Did Mick Lynch make the stronger case? Or do you think the interviewer raised important points that deserved more attention? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest political analysis.